At dawn, an unseen army begins its march beneath the sleeping forest. Millions move as one, driven by instinct older than the forest itself. On the front line, every soldier is born to fight. This is not chaos, but a perfectly coordinated invasion. Every path is calculated, every movement synchronized. For smaller creatures, escape is already impossible. The assault is swift, merciless, and absolute. Entire colonies fall within minutes. No terrain is too steep for the advancing force. What began as a column is now an empire on the move. Each victory feeds the endless march forward. Ahead lies a battle that will test the limits of conquest. Here, domination is decided by numbers alone. Every inch of ground is paid for in lives. The stronghold is breached, the invasion complete. Even in victory, there is no rest. Where the army passes, nothing remains unchanged. As night approaches, the conquerors disappear once more. The forest endures, waiting for the next invasion. In the wild, glory and ruin are separated by only a single march. Unlike other ants, Eciton burchellii builds no nest. Its own bodies become the shelter. Every individual is a structural unit in this living fortress. Even amid conquest, survival of the next generation remains the highest priority. Rest ends abruptly when the march must continue. The army reforms in seconds, driven by instinct alone. Separate units merge into a single, unstoppable force. Anything unable to flee fast enough becomes prey. These soldiers are engineered solely for attack. No surface is too steep for this species of relentless hunters. Even other ants fall victim to this roaming empire. In these encounters, numbers decide everything. No opponent escapes the collective grip. The battle ends as swiftly as it began. Victory fuels the next stage of the journey. As daylight wanes, the army adapts once again. For now, the forest breathes again. The signs of invasion linger long after the army moves on. Their journey leaves scars measured in silence. In the wild, domination is temporary, but the march never truly ends. Thus concludes one chapter in the endless cycle of conquest. Before the invasion begins, scouts of Eciton burchellii quietly read the forest. Information flows through touch, not sound. A path becomes a decision. The march begins not with speed, but with certainty. Every step is precise, every movement deliberate. Obstacles are negotiated, not rushed. The forest senses what is coming. Expansion happens without command. Efficiency defines their violence. Nothing is wasted in the wild. For this species, cooperation is a physical act. Individually small, collectively immense. Success feeds the momentum. The raid adapts to the land's limits. Even hunters must recalibrate. The advance contracts as daylight fades. The army withdraws from sight, not from existence. Invisible signals remain after bodies pass. The forest exhales once more. In silence, the march continues. After days of raiding, the forest begins to offer less. When food grows scarce, uncertainty spreads through touch. The once unified front begins to fragment. Without constant success, cohesion weakens. Energy is spent faster than it can be replaced. The path remains, but the strength does not. The forest senses the shift in power. For the first time, escape becomes possible. Retreat, once unthinkable, becomes necessary. The rhythm of the army begins to falter. The once solid river of bodies becomes a trickle. Cooperation demands energy the colony no longer has. Each return yields diminishing reward. Instinct urges forward, but the land offers nothing. Communication intensifies as clarity fades. The march contracts under its own weight. Oh, Without signals, direction dissolves. Darkness arrives sooner for a weakened army. The forest begins to close the wounds of invasion. Glory fades quietly in the wild. What once moved as one, now struggles to remain connected. Without direction, even instinct hesitates. Communication weakens as energy fades. The invisible map begins to disappear. The cost of constant movement is written on every body. Even cooperation has limits. Fear shifts when dominance fades. Hunger does not always lead to victory. Energy spent returns empty. The rhythm that defined them begins to break. Even their living shelter weakens. A home made of bodies demands constant strength. Protecting the future becomes harder each hour. Instinct signals the need to move on. Rest is brief, even in collapse. Darkness now dictates their rhythm. Without memory, the path dissolves. The army becomes fragments. Nature quietly reclaims control. In the wild, decline is silent, but never final. At their lowest point, movement becomes survival. Recovery begins with the smallest actions. Order returns gradually, one contact at a time. The invisible map is redrawn. Communication restores cohesion. Strength does not return all at once. Risk is measured carefully. Success, though modest, renews momentum. Efficiency returns before abundance. Or each fragment matters. Numbers slowly rebuild confidence. The forest remains vast, but the march continues. Cooperation regains stability. Shelter is reformed, not rebuilt. the future is secured again. Stability. Stability returns quietly. Memory is restored through chemistry. Balance replaces excess. Recovery does not announce itself. From collapse, the cycle begins again. After recovery, the march resumes with restraint. Communication now serves balance, not expansion. Adaptation replaces aggression. Efficiency becomes the new strategy. Energy is conserved with every step. Experience now guides the way. Risk is calculated, not assumed. Precision replaces overwhelming numbers. Nothing more is taken than required. Order sustains the colony. Structure returns to motion. Persistence defines survival. Cooperation is temporary, but effective. Shelter supports rhythm, not excess. Security replaces haste. Stability is the new strength. Signals are precise, not excessive. Order persists even in rest. Balance blends into the darkness. In adaptation, the cycle finds continuity. In balance, the march becomes part of the forest again. No individual leads, yet none are truly alone. Dominance gives way to coexistence. Their presence becomes subtle once more. Energy is spent only where it matters. Survival is no longer a race. The forest remains larger than any army. Not every opportunity must be taken. During. Sufficiency replaces excess. Memory is preserved, not rewritten. The army becomes part of the ecosystem. Greatness in nature is often invisible. Shelter is tempera, balance enduring. The future rests quietly. The day's movement fades without ceremony. Direction remains, even when unseen. Silence returns to the forest. Life continues beneath the surface. Endings in nature are never final. In the wild, every empire is only a moment in an endless cycle.